So in this video we're going to strip the carbs, clean the carbs and reassemble. Hopefully we're not going to find any problems in there, but there's only one way to really find out. Just to go through the parts of the carb, and it's quite difficult to sort of hold it and show it in the camera as well. What you can see there is a butterfly. Likewise, it's the same on the other carb. Both of these carbs are pretty much the same. What you see here is the throttle mechanism, and that's what, when you twist the twist grip, that's what acts upon that and opens or closes that butterfly. The other thing we're going to look at is the slide. As you can see, the slide in there, and the slide moves up and down, as you can see, and again it's on the same carb. Now this one isn't moving very well at all, so that does tell us it does need a bit of a clean. Hopefully the diaphragm will be okay when we see in there, but we'll have a look obviously when we go in. It is retaining slowly, but that tells us, yeah, just to repeat, it needs a little bit of attention. I have just polished up that carb top just for the sake of it, to see if it would polish up okay, and yeah, it's polished up to a reasonably good standard. For the purpose of the video, I'll just work on one carb at a time. What I like to do as well is, as I strip each carb, put the components in individual containers. It's not essential that they're fat free or Greek style, but let's work through it. But let's take this carb top off first. Let's make that the first job. Okay, so again, being very careful with the components. Now this diaphragm, it does look to be in good condition. There's no obvious damage to it, so that's a good thing. Means we don't have to replace the diaphragm. So if we can very, very carefully remove this. Okay, I'll bring this out with the slide, and we'll check the slide for any damage. Right, I'll continue to strip the carb, and then we'll come back and have a look at the component parts. Let's check for any pit in there. There's no real pit in, there's tarnish, but we'll clear this out. So I'm going to clean some of the smaller components with carb cleaner. I'm going to put the body of the carbs into the ultrasonic tank. So let's carry on with that. So the next stage is to remove the float bowls, or the float balls, because we're going to do them one at a time. I'll turn it that way, perhaps see it a little bit better. So let's take this off. So we can see the float ball. Hopefully it will come off easily. Quite often they do get stuck, but this one came off easy. That's a good thing. Wow, I was expecting a lot more debris in there than there is, but that, again, that's a good thing. Don't know whether somebody's been in the carb and monkeyed around with it before. I don't think so, but all good. So let's look at taking some more bits apart. Take this jet out here. I don't think you guys will be able to see that, but that looks pretty clear. The float action does seem pretty positive, but let's just get in there a little bit more. So we'll come back and have a better look at this shortly. I'll see if I can get a close-up of it. But floats seem in really good condition. What we need to inspect on this part, and it's difficult, it's very, very difficult to show, but this taper, we need to make sure that's in good condition. This is doesn't look like it in the video, but it's actually a rubber one. We'll check that there's any signs of damage. It doesn't appear to be. And what we also need to check, if I can get in really close, is this in this float needle, that pin, well, that's working really well. It's got a good spring back to it. It's not stuck in anywhere. That's another really good sign. Everything's coming up jam side at the moment. So the next thing we do is to remove this, which we're going to, and this is what the just in case people weren't aware, that's what this sits inside of. Yeah. It looks to be original to the carb. Everything looks there. It looks to be good, which is another good sign. But we'll give it a clean up anyway. I'm going to go on now with some carb cleaner. Safety goggles on first. So just going to put these to one side for a moment. Start with a glass jar and put some carbs cleaner in there. And start putting the metal components in there that we took out. So I'm not going to put the needle in there, but I will spray some indirect. There is a line of thought that carb cleaner is too aggressive for the rubber. I'm not sure whether it is or it isn't, but let's work on the safe side. But if we can just see, I don't know whether you guys actually can, but that is extremely free moving. That's exactly how I want it. That's spot on. Need to be extremely careful of keeping carb cleaner away from that rubber diaphragm. So to clean the actual needle, if we put some carb cleaner on there and the cloth, and then just work it into the needle gently, because we don't want to bend the needle. In fairness, there's not, you work it in by hand, there's no, can't feel any real deposit build up, which again is good. And getting very carefully clean the slab. Just going to take out this adjustment screw. Okay. So what we can see here, if you guys can see it, this can go in the cleaning tank as well. Cleaning tank, jam jar with fluid in. Ha! Okay, that's this part of the carb done. Next stage is to put it in an ultrasonic tank. Before that is to obviously clean this side up. It's the same process of what we've just seen there, so I'm not going to make a video of that. So next up is to reassemble the carburetors and then do a bench synchronization or static synchronization of the carbs before we put them back on the bike. So let's think about getting the carbs back together. Okay, in the correct order. hopefully you can see slide working much better now. Excellent. And I'll try to see if I can get the camera to pick it up. Should also be hearing the air pressure being discharged, or sorry, the air pressure being moved around. Okay, so the same for the other side. Cover that up because it's causing too much flare. Yep, rising and falling nicely, and that. Don't know how you describe the term really. Suction. All good. So let's start putting the giblets back in the carb. Apologies if hands get in the way at certain times, but it's quite difficult to manipulate and film as well. But let's start by get this back in. Again, no more than finger tight. Again, we are talking about brass fittings. Okay, so it's a case of putting the float needle back in. On this particular design, the needle is suspended from the float arm, from the adjustment arm. So if we put that on first and then watch it fall off. Again, I'm just have to move things around a little bit. So once that's engaged in there, we can then look to put the pin back in. And this isn't nearly as tricky as I'm making it look. It's just I'm having to work in a strange way. There we go. So that's back in. Yeah, I think you can see the principle. What the float action does, obviously the float rises or falls with the level of fluid. And if you can see quite close in there, it's then acts upon the float needle to restrict or allow more fuel in, yeah? Hopefully you can see that. It's the same for the other side. I won't bore you with doing that one. I'll just get on and do that one. So both sides have now got the floats installed. You see, we need to then set the float height. I've checked in the manual and the float height is just under 7mm, 6.8mm. And when we measure from the ceiling surface there and then the maximum height of the float. Now it's important that we have the floats at a certain angle, which is about there, and not like that. So we're looking to sort of be there and then to check it. Again, I use a float height tool, and the first thing to do is set that distance up there on both the mating surfaces. And I've also set the gauge to just under 7mm, 6.8mm. So not that angle where the floats are falling out, but the angle there where they're at the maximum height without falling out. Unfortunately, the screw mechanism is getting in the way, but if you see there, that is spot on. So next job is to put the float bowls back on. Obviously I've put this one on, and it's just a simple case of tightening everything up. And then it's just a case of repeating for this side. So the last job in assembling the carb is to replace the air screw. There's one on this carb and there's one on the other side, identical the same. So there's a screw. And if you can see it, that's a little washer there as well. Whoops, spring jumped off. And that washer must go on there, because that helps provide a seal when it's back in the housing or the carb body. Again, hopefully you can see what's going on. Screwing that down very gently, progressively. What we then need to do is turn that screw back anti-clockwise 2 1/4 turns. So I've made a mark on the screwdriver and I'm just going to visually line it up there really. It could be anywhere, it's arbitrary. So one revolution, 2 revolutions, 2 1/4. Okay, then the same on the other side. Okay, so this is the final job in refurbing the carbs. And what we're going to do is bench sync or static sync the butterflies. So what do we need to do? Well, that's the adjustment screw for synchronization. So when we turn that screw in or out, it works upon the butterflies. Okay, this one and this one. Okay, it doesn't affect the throttle setting as such. This is the idle screw. As you can see, that acts against this mechanism here. So what I'll try to show you the butterfly working. So this would be where the throttle cable would fit. So as you twist the twist grip, it acts on that and it opens the butterfly. Likewise, that butterfly. So what we're trying to do is set it so both butterflies open at the same time. Okay. Again, I don't think we're going to be able to tick it particularly well, no. But again, what we would do, we would use that adjustment screw so we've got both open. And if this was an inline instead of a V-twin, we'll be able to see both the butterflies. But I hope you get the principle of that. And again, it's just a static test, or a static setup I should say, and again we'll do it when it's on the bike. So that's it for this video. The next video, and hopefully you should have a on-screen link, will be to have the carbs back on the bike, synchronize the carbs with the engine running, and also we'll set each carb up on the air screw. We'll probably do that first and then sync the carb, so that's going to be at its optimal. So thanks for watching this video, and look out for the next one.